It's time for the MD and Chef Team Show.
Let's go!
The content in this show is for informational purposes only. It is not intended for medical advice. It does not take the place of medical advice or treatment from a physician or health professional. Listeners and viewers should consult their own doctor or a qualified healthcare professional for specific health and wellness concerns and questions. And now, let's start the MD and Chef Team Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MD and Chef Team Show. I'm Nutritional Chef Michael, joined as always by my beautiful wife, your Dr. Isabel.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're going to have a lot of fun and maybe a couple of tears.
Oh, tears too.
Yeah.
Wow.
When it comes to the relationship part.
Yes, we always do a relationship chat part here at the MD and Chef Team Show. Why? Because we've been together.
We believe in good relationships that last a long time.
And 44 years together.
And
yeah.
At least 100 more to go, right?
Yeah, 100 more. Wow. Okay, well, see how far we go. Keep on rocking. Thanks for joining us today on the MD and Chef Team Show. We are really honored to have you here with us today. We've got a great show in front of us, but you might be asking, well, why would I bother hanging out with these guys? What's the big deal? What's the story with this MD and Chef team, husband and wife team, and having fun and laughs and cries and all that kind of good stuff? What would you say to that, my dear?
Great question. Why listen to us, right?
Why?
Well, because after being a medical doctor now since 1991 as a GP, I've seen where people are going, and so have you. You've seen where everybody is going. They're either going towards a heart attack or Alzheimer's or type 2 diabetes or obesity or high blood pressure or cancer. And guess what? I'd say 90% of that stuff is preventable and even reversible. Yes, even Alzheimer's is preventable and reversible. I forgot to add anxiety, depression, OCD, ADD, ADHD, all that stuff we can take care of a lot of the times way before it starts expressing itself. So I want everybody to have hope, that Michael and I know where we're going, we know where we're taking this show, and we want to help you understand it can be better for you. Oh, I'm not supposed to be pounding them. I'm like constantly pounding the table. Mike's like, don't do that.
Just because of the microphone.
Yeah, the microphone goes bouncing off the table. So that's why we recommend seeing this and staying with us, because we're going to be here every 2 weeks. We're doing that every 2 weeks right now. But someday we'll get back to weekly right now.
But we're here for you. And, we've been through our challenges and trials and tribulations of life, not just relationship-wise, but health-wise. We've been through our own health issues and that. We've had our ups and downs. So we're not sitting here being, we've studied it all and we're going to tell you what to do, but nothing's ever happened to us. Well, that is very far from the truth. And if you know anything about us or ever seen things that we talk about, we're very transparent. And we have had a lot of junk happen in our lives. And we've worked through it. We've researched on it. We've gotten our mentors.
We've gotten back on the horse when we've gotten thrown off the horse.
Thrown off the horse, and literally the horse trampled over us.
Oh, wow. We're back.
Yeah.
We're back.
And strong, right?
So what's our conversation about today, hon?
Our conversation about today, let me have a look if I can find where the show title is. And there we go. Today's show is who's running the rooms of your brain. Now, the reason why I talk about that is because our number one muscle, it's not
Tell
that,
them, I know.
not that muscle.
Yeah.
Our number one muscle is our brain. It controls everything. Before we get into it, I want to let you know that wherever you may be watching this, whether it's live or on a replay, and by the way, if you catch us on replay, just give us a hashtag replay in the comment section. But wherever you happen to catch us in the comment section, and especially now if you're watching this live, put a comment in there. Let us know. Give us suggestions, comments, whatever's going on. Some questions you may have as we're talking. We'll do our best to address them as we go. So let us know if you've got any comments or suggestions in the comment section of where you may be watching it. So who's running the rooms of your brain? It's all about the number one muscle, your brain, which controls everything. You know, sometimes we don't even realize that when we think that maybe our physical health isn't working well, and that's not well, and some other areas of health aren't working well, we don't really think anything about the brain. What's the brain got to do with it? I mean, and what's the brain got to do? We kind of know mental health and brain health, but physical health, the brain's running
The whole show.
the
It
whole
all starts
show.
right here.
You know, everything's working from the brain. So we got to understand that that's something we've got to address. Now today I'm going to be talking about it from a nutritional point of view, how our food, that everything we eat, how our food affects our brain. Because that is so important to understand how food affects our brain.
And our mood.
Um,
And our sleep.
Emotions,
and
mood,
our energy
sleep,
levels.
energy. Well, and the reason why this has come up to Isabel and I is I just want to give you a few things. Is that this is what we've had clients tell us about what's called the downstream effects. The effects of poor brain health and poor nutritional lifestyle. They've told us things like they're feeling foggy. They're having problems just concentrating and getting clarity in everyday life. They're reactive and not responsive in decision making. Understand, this is what people have come to us and they have said in our research and working with clients. And when they're having to make decisions, it's all kind of snappy and quick, and there's not a good solid decision making going on.
Or logic. It's all reactionary.
Very reactionary. They're having poor problem solving. They're like, with things going on in life, they just get, how do I work through this? I can't think. They have decreased energy. I don't know if you're out there and you're just, energy levels are constantly low. We're talking to people a lot. Sorry, I just did it.
Your ring just
that was
moved
my
the
ring
microphone.
just banging away.
That's a heck of a ring
I know,
bag.
what a beauty. Wow. The people aren't sleeping well. My gosh, this is something for you as a frontline doctor, an MD, that you hear this all the time. People just are struggling with their sleep. People taking a lot of sick days because they're constantly ill and having to be off work all the time. I mean, it really affects our productivities, not just in our life, but in society. And then, of course, anxiety and depression and all the mood disorders that the brain health gets thrown off. And then, of course, leading to really bad suicidal thoughts and where that can go too. And it's got to do with mental health and brain health. So these are problems that people have come to us with. And understanding today, we want to talk about how nutrition is affecting all those areas in people, and a lot of times in society we just don't think about it.
Or in medicine. In medicine, we're not taught that the neck is connected from the body to the brain. It's just a head and a body. So this is huge stuff. When we were reading about it, we were like, wow, we got to let people know about this because people don't know. It's not being talked about.
And in your 12 years of medical training, I mean, didn't you have like thousands and thousands of hours in your classes on nutrition?
No, I didn't. I had a lot of... No.
Hundreds of hours.
No, like maybe an hour.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe an hour. But I had a lot of hours on pharmacology. I think I probably had 2 years of pharmacology, learning drugs and all the side effects and all the different names, the generic name, the trade name, on and on and on. Yeah.
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 So today, when we talk about the brain health and areas of the brain, we're going to talk about two rooms. I call them rooms of the brain. They're two areas of the brain, but I'm just calling it two rooms of the brain and who's running those rooms. The two rooms we're going to talk about is the amygdala and the frontal lobe. Now, in talking about that, I'm going to ask our medical professional to come in and just give us a little, very quick anatomy 101 about where and is the amygdala and the frontal lobe.
I feel like I should put on my white coat
Yeah,
and have
your
a
white coat, your
board and a
stethoscope,
brain and stuff.
Make it really detailed and
No.
nobody understands it.
Very simple. The frontal lobe is this whole area. It's the front part of your brain right here. And then the amygdala is deep down in the middle of the brain. That's it. Simple. Boom, you pass the test. Frontal lobe is in the front, frontal lobe, and the amygdala is in the middle. That's it.
Quick and easy and
Quick
concise.
and easy.
So let's talk about
Where's
this.
the frontal lobe?
In the front.
Show me. And where's the amygdala? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got it.
There we go. So talking about those two rooms, why do I talk about those specifically? Yes, there's other rooms of the brain. We're just going to talk about those two specifically because of what they do for us in our brain health and our overall health. So the amygdala is kind of it's our flight or fright type part of the brain. It's in charge of when things happen where we can react. It's in charge of if there's something going on that I need to make a quick reaction, it's just boom, we can do it. It lets us do it. It's defend. It reacts to stimulus of the world. Our amygdala center is when things come at us and things are happening in the world, we're able to react and make that happen. I mean, if there's something going on, you know, the old saying when the hair stands up on the back of your neck when you're kind of something's going on and you're like, ooh, I mean, that's kind of your amygdala starting to be heightened going, something's not right here. I'm not feeling this. I need to get out of here or fight it or whichever it may be. And that's a very good thing. We need the amygdala in action.
And also the amygdala is where emotions are. Like, that's why you'd have the hairs on your back coming up, like the emotion of something's the matter. Danger, danger.
Well, both of these centers actually have emotions as part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But the amygdala emotions is more of a flight or fright type emotions. It's a heightened emotions where it allows us to get ourselves out of trouble or react to something when we need to. And we need that part of the brain. We need to be able to do that. I mean, if there's something that situation I got to get out of really quick and there's danger, I don't need to kind of sit there for the next 15 minutes and go, yeah, maybe, and then boom, it's too late. I need that amygdala to kick in and say, okay, what are we doing? Out of here, or not? What's going on? And so it's very, very important. Now, the other is called the frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe, I call this the parent in the room. The frontal lobe is also in charge of emotions, but it's about our emotional balance, where when we have emotions, we don't get, shall I say, over the top with our emotions. It keeps us a little more balanced. It's also got to do with our decision making, relationships, memory. This frontal lobe kind of keeps us in check in the world, where we're able to move through the world seamlessly. When things come at us, we can make smart decisions. Then we can sit back and go, okay, what do I need to do here? Let's think about this. Let's do this correctly. It's also got to do with good memory. It's got to do with keeping us stable, keeping our relationships, like, if you and I had a problem going on and we need to discuss something, we want that frontal lobe working for us so we can sit and go, okay, let's have a mature, rational decision here, instead of the amygdala going, I'm gonna.
Oh, you do that so well. Did I teach you that?
No. I think we all have that in us somewhere.
Oh, hon.
So I call that the frontal lobe is the adult in the room. And the amygdala is kind of the teenager. It's very, very reactionary.
That is a really good
Okay.
distinction, yeah.
Yeah. Now, please understand the way our brain normally works is the frontal lobe will override the amygdala when we have our optimal nutrition levels, that when our brain is functioning properly. First, when things happen, the frontal lobe will start to react to it. And if it realizes, no, we need the amygdala to kick in, then the amygdala will kick in. But normally, our frontal lobe is the one that's running the room of our brain. That's the one making it happen. The problem is, in today's society, is we now know through research that poor nutrition highlights, activates the amygdala part of our brain, meaning that the amygdala is constantly be activated 24/7 or almost all day long because of the nutritional lifestyle that we have. And it's just this thing going off all the time. And the teenager in the room, the amygdala is saying to the frontal lobe, nah, forget you. I'm in charge. By the way, look at me. I'm in charge. And as you can imagine, we're running on edge. We're stressed out. Decision making is just, this is when people make decisions and then they go, oh, sorry about that. No, I didn't really mean that. Because, the amygdala was running the room, just going, bleh, spouting things out. And so we obviously don't want that. But another reason why we want to talk about that is because if that is chronically going on, and that means not just 1 hour or 1 day, but it's happening day after day after day because poor nutrition, now you're starting to set yourself up for chronic disease. You're starting to set yourself up with things like heart disease, vascular disease, prediabetes and diabetes, cancers, many types of other problems that can come on, Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive decline, all these things now because chronically you've got the wrong room of your brain running the show, and you start to set yourself up for those down the track. It's not like, well, if I had that going on 1 day,
then that's okay.
That happens.
That's life.
We get out of whack a day or two or whatever it may be, but if you're chronically running like that constantly, now the brain's starting to basically you are what's called gaining inflammation of the brain.
Right.
And whenever you hear somebody talk about this word inflammation, which you hear so much, just think of the word fire. That's a fire. That means there's a smoldering fire going on, and this can really start to set up that fire in the brain.
And your body, including your brain, everything is trained to put out the fire. So it will do everything it needs to put out the fire. But the problem is it never is able to put out the fire because the fire keeps on going and going and going. So Michael's going to teach you how you can turn off that fire, turn down the amygdala so that the frontal lobe is in control.
Yes.
Even in your children.
Yes.
Because you're in control of what they put in their mouths.
Yes.
Okay.
Can cause those early childhood mental disorders going on. The restlessness, the hyperactivity,
the tantrums,
all the things that go on. And then, of course, in traditional healthcare, it's like, oh, okay, well, why don't we just give this kid these drugs? They got a problem, give them these drugs. Well, that's not necessarily the problem. We need to help them with proper nutrition. Now, before we move on, I just want to say, because I did say about poor diet, today is not all about running through what's good, what's bad, all those things. We are going to get into some specific areas. However, what I do want to say is what I see is the number one problem in our nutritional lifestyle eating these days is ultra-processed foods. And by that I mean the Frankenfoods, or those Frankenstein foods made in chemical plants, and where there's more chemicals in the food than there's actually nutrients. And we now know through the research and the data that in our westernized society of eating, around 40 to 60% of daily, depending on, you as an individual, but on average, 40 to 60% of our daily calories are being made up of these ultra processed foods, basically not real foods. So most people aren't getting actual real food nutrients, and it's just something that's been created in a lab.
And the body knows that it's not getting real food, but it knows that it needs real food. So it keeps on saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. So you keep putting in, but it still keeps saying, your body says, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. Feed me, feed me. And that's why we're seeing this obesity epidemic.
One of the main reasons.
One
yes.
of the main reasons, yeah.
So before I move on, I just wanted to say, when I did make that statement about poor nutritional lifestyle eating, activating the amygdala, number one thing you can think about is ultra processed foods, getting that out of your diet, getting that out of your eating, so that you have good foods, good plan with that. So my tea. Keep calm and carry on. All righty. So I say we just keep on rolling. What do you think? We're just going to keep on rolling.
Yeah, I feel like we're
Sometimes
in a flow.
we take a break, but we're just going to keep on rolling.
Yeah.
We got a good flow going, okay? Hopefully that's okay with you out there. We all right to keep driving,
Let's
keep the
go.
flow? Oh, I'll have the non-lipstick
Oh,
side.
sorry, honey.
Lipstick and my tea.
But that's on the other side.
I know. I'll go on the other side.
Thanks.
Okay.
Can I have a little more of that?
Yeah, sorry.
I should have had my own, but I didn't think I was going to need anything. Yes. What would you like?
What I want to talk about is, let's talk about the glucose levels of our body. And that's basically the sugars. The reason what we're going to get into now is understanding the best thing you can do with your brain health is balancing the blood sugars, the glucose levels that are running through your system because of what you're eating and drinking. All right. And we're going to use, and okay, before we do that though, I do want to say something. Can you just hold that up, the chart number 1 up for a moment, please?
Oh, am I your Vanna White?
Please, my dear. Chart number 1. I want you to just understand this 5 level going across here. Okay. I'm not going to get into, exact details in that, but just this 5 level here. Okay. That's good. So just understand what we're going to talk about is keeping your blood sugar levels balanced around that 5.0 glucose level, what's running through your body. Why? You might be asking. Of course, that's the big number question. Why? When blood sugar rises above 5, now remember what I'm talking about here is, okay, maybe you have a day or even a few days, I'm on holiday and I'm just having whatever I want. But I'm talking about in your normal, optimal lifestyle, your normal daily lifestyle, what you're constantly doing. I'm talking about doing something chronically where this is your normal pattern. When your blood sugar levels are about 5, you now start to increase inflammation. You're increasing the fire in your body. You're increasing the fire in your brain. And it leads to conditions like pre-diabetes and diabetes, heart disease, strokes, dementia, skin conditions like eczema. So that glucose spikes and cancers, because another thing with cancer is cancer feeds off the excess glucose in our body. We're always attacked every day with cancers or out in the world, and normally our immune system can fight them off. But if we have an excess of that and we've got excess glucose running around, those cancers love to feed off of the sugars in our body. That just kind of keeps them alive. That's how they grow. They're like, most people don't remember Pac-Man back in the day. That was like the original kind of little game board type thing. But Pac-Man would go around and munch on things. Well, that's really what you just think of cancers. They just love to munch on sugars, that excess. And the excess sugars of the body cause excess body fat. That's not that good. So that's why we're talking about that level 5, where we don't want to be doing that as our normal panel of eating, where it's just spiking above that constantly and then dropping down, because when we drop way down below 5, it's that feeling of low blood sugar And that's not good either. We just don't want this constant spiking up and down all over of our glucose levels. So we want to talk about how to keep it closer to that level 5 at every meal.
And just
Because-
to add a little something.
Yes.
So when you go above the 5, you're like, you know, you're that teenager. But when you go below, you just don't have that energy. So you wanna stay nice and stable, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
And Michael's gonna teach you how to do that.
And you're actually activating the amygdala too when you drop way down below the 5, because now you're getting into a state of like, I gotta have something, I gotta have something, I gotta have something, and you're not really thinking soundly.
Right.
When you drop down below 5, that's that state of when you're hangry, when you're hungry and kind of, I need to get some, I need my blood sugar, I need something, and we're not really thinking soundly and making a logical decision, because now we're in a state of like, just give me something. Where's that
Chocolate bar.
where's that chocolate? Where's that scone? Where's that biscuit?
Where's
that cookie?
French fry?
Where's that? Give me some French fry. Where's those cookies? Where's that bag of Doritos? Man, I'm hungry. And so staying along that level 5, nice and stable, is going to allow the amygdala to kick in when we need it, not being activated. Okay? So let's talk about this. Now, at every meal, this is what we're talking about for every meal. This isn't like just breakfast, just lunch, just dinner. I'm talking about this for every meal we have. And this will serve you so amazingly well for the rest of your life. I can guarantee you, so many times when Isabel and I have talked about this, I've had so many people contact me, come up to me saying, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I didn't realize this has made such a difference in my life. So this is so important. So, my dear.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the lipstick side.
Not the lipstick side. My dear. Yes.
May we have chart number 1, please?
So we're still in this one now.
Yes, chart number 1. Okay, so blood sugar level 5. So let's just say you have what's called a simple carbohydrate. Now, carbohydrates are great. Carbohydrates like let's say a carrot or broccoli or cauliflower. Those are carbohydrates. Fantastic. I'm talking about a simple carb that's like a piece of toast. Okay? So let's say at the meal you have just a piece of toast. And, maybe you're having toast and coffee or something in the morning, but you had just a piece of toast. With that carb, you are going to get this spike of glucose level way up above 5. And what happens is it's going to go up and you're going to feel good. You're going to be like, yeah, I got energy. I feel good. But very quickly, within an hour to an hour and a half, that's going to drop off. And this is when it drops off and comes way down. That's good. Huh?
Yeah, because it goes below the 5.
It comes way down. All of a sudden, you're like,
it's called crashing.
I need to have something again.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to say this about our children. One of the things, please understand, this is so, so important for our kids. Because if we are sending our kids out the door with just that something for breakfast like that, or even cereals, that could be basic cereals, because most of the cereals are just empty nutrition. Yeah, they say fortified this and that. This is such a small percentage in there. Basically, they're a simple carb with a lot of sugars in. And yeah, that kid's fired up going out the door, but they wonder where in the classroom, an hour into school or maybe an hour and a half at most at school, they're just like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, they're lost. They're foggy. They're not paying attention. Now the teacher's, calling them out and like, what's wrong with this kid? There's something wrong. Well, no, they're crashing because they were set up wrong to get out the door and during the day or whenever that may be. And that's us too as adults, but it's also for our kids to understand that. Okay. So may I have chart number 2, please, my dear? So now let's talk about having that carb, that toast, that's a simple carb, not the good carb, with protein. And I'm just using very simple example of an egg. So if we have that piece of toast with an egg, you can see the line of the spike flattens out a little bit more. and we'll get maybe 2.5 to 3 hours out of that time, out of that spike until it starts to we start to crash. Thank you, hon.
Mm-hmm.
So now our spike of glucose isn't quite as high. Yeah, it gone up above 5, but it starts to drop off a little bit later. We get a little more time out of it until we start to go, oh my gosh, I'm hungry again. Have you ever noticed why the days are so set up through school and through work where every 2 hours we got to have a break? And for most people, that tea break, coffee break, whatever you want to call it, you know, we head out the door, we got a break in a couple hours, then we got lunch in a couple hours, then we got another break in a couple hours, then we got another. It's just constantly every 2 hours because we're eating in like that first panel where we're constantly getting these spikes and we feel great and then we're crashing and we need to have more. And people are constantly trying to fuel that all day long, but it's only because they're going up, feeling great, crashing down. I don't feel so good. I'm hangry. Don't talk to me. I got to get something type feeling. And that is so bad.
Plus all the hormones that are going wild. That's another topic, you know?
That's one you're definitely an expert in.
Oh my gosh. So this is just the sugar part, the carbohydrate part.
Yeah. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg, shall we say.
There's more to the story.
Yes. Okay, now may we have chart number 3, my dear? Okay, so now let's look at if we have the toast, protein with an egg, and some fat. Let's say it's butter or even some extra virgin olive oil on that.
Or avocado.
Avocado would be fantastic, but we're having the carbohydrate, protein, and fat with the meal. Notice how now, we still get a little bit of a spike, but it starts to plane out. It starts to level out pretty much just when it goes above that 5. And we're now getting around 4, maybe 4.5 to 5 hours. We're getting somewhere around 4 to 4.5 to 5 hours before it starts to drop down again. That is so important because now we're balancing out those blood sugars. That longevity of time also gives our body a chance to use up the glucose spike that we've brought in, because it will have movement and whatever we're doing for a 4-hour span instead of a 1-hour span, because, you know, when it spikes up, it's got to get used up in just an hour, and that's why it drops off so quickly. We get such a nice long balance of that. Why do we want that balance? Because when we are spiking up and down, can we have that first, go back to the first chart, please? When we are getting that spiking of glucose levels from the foods we're eating, and we're not eating a proper combination of foods at meal, where we have very simple carb, we are getting this spiking up and down long term. Thank you, that's good. We're getting this constant spiking of glucose long term, which is poor for our brain health. It's highlighting our amygdala, which understanding there's a connection here. When those glucose spikes, it's doing a lot down here in our lower part of our body for throwing off our systems. But what it's also doing is highlighting that room of our brain, the amygdala, where now our brain isn't functioning properly because the amygdala is overriding the frontal lobe, which is supposed to be in charge, which was set up properly and beautifully by, you know, our creator God, who set it up properly. But now we're messing the whole thing up because of our nutritional plan. That long term, that is going to really affect us long term in so many different ways, and we do not want our brain health to be messed up, because that brain that you got right now, the only one you got, is in charge of everything.
Everything, you guys.
It tells your lungs to breathe. It tells your heart to beat. It tells everything that moves.
It tells your kidneys to make urine. It tells your gut to make a poop. I mean, it's all involved.
And it controls our decision making. It controls how we are in the world. I mean, a lot of times we talk about the world just being out of control and people are so aggressive and what's
Yeah.
called aggro and mean these days. And it's like, it never used to be that way.
But we can
And
understand why.
road rage. It's like,
Yeah.
where did this come from? Well, you know what? My professional opinion is the main contributor of all that is because our lifestyle nutritional eating plan is so messed up that people are running around with that amygdala room running themselves ragged, like everything is just wired tightly, and that's what's happening to us out there in society. So hopefully you get to understand that at every meal, and I'm going to use this as today's healthy lifestyle action step, okay? Today's healthy lifestyle action step. Please, please remember, if you take anything away from today, this will serve you so amazingly well for the rest of your lives, is at every meal think, okay, what's my carbohydrate of this meal? Now, it could be toast, or it could be like some salad greens, or even in breakfast, it could be some sauteed veggies like some tomato and squash, onions, and maybe some spinach in there and some salad greens. But think about, where's my carb? Where's my protein? What kind of protein? Again, if you're vegetarian, you know what you want to do as far as, I'm not going to run through all that. If you're vegan or vegetarian, you still got to have some kind of protein component. And then what's my fat? And fat could be like an avocado, extra virgin olive oil, butter, that type of things. What am I having at every meal so I get that nice combination, so I'm not getting a massive glucose spike where I'm going to feel good for a little bit and then I'm just going to crash. You don't want that. You don't want that running that room of your brain for the rest of your life, because that sets you up for disease long term. So please remember that every meal, unless you're on holiday or, it's just that kind of day where it doesn't work. But for your normal eating lifestyle, every meal, please think, what's my carb? What's my protein? What's my fat? I need all three to balance out my sugar levels, to keep me running smoothly, to keep my brain running smoothly.
For 4 hours.
So that the frontal
For 4
lobe,
hours, not 1 hour. You get 4 hours from a meal. So you don't have to be searching or hunting for food. You got 4 hours before your next meal. And of course, you're going to have a little emergency pack ready for the next meal, or you'll know where you're going to get your next carbohydrate, protein, and fat. That's like key. And that's helping you become metabolically flexible.
Yes.
So you can survive without food for 4 hours. When you hear somebody saying, 90% of the population is not metabolically flexible, meaning they have to eat something every 2 hours. And that's because they haven't trained their body to get a carbohydrate, protein, and fat and get 4 hours out of a kapow meal full of nutrients.
Yes.
And that really is good for your body. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Love it. So I really enjoy having a good chat about that, because it's so important for everybody to grasp and just think about who's running the room of your brain and what's my nutritional plan and how am I filling out every meal with my carbohydrate, my protein, and my fat.
That's really cool that you said that you did the amygdala, because when I get into the inspiration chat, I'm going to say, okay, so who's inspiring you? Your amygdala or your frontal lobe? So that's like, I just got that.
Who's running that room?
It was just a little download. So thanks
beautiful.
for that.
There you go. There you go. Love it.
So stay tuned.
All right. So, hey, we always have a relationship chat every show. Well, I believe it almost always. Sometimes we run out of time. But we like to talk about relationships as far as not just husband and wife, but women, men, children, friends, family, all those different types of relationships, because guess what? It's a key component of our lives. Connection is a key to human life. Connection is a key to human longevity. The folks in all the blue zones where people live to be 100 years young and healthy and all that kind of goodness, one of their major things they always talk about is connection. They all have great connections. And so today, from a connection point of view, I want to talk about dads and their family, because I had the wonderful, amazing privilege of being the at-home dad for our two daughters for many, many years. And, until they, grew up to be able to do their own thing.
And they flew away.
Yes, they flew away, and they're amazing.
But we're still talking.
Amazing, beautiful young women now.
Yeah, and they're still connected.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So for me, it's important to just have a chat about dads and their family and taking on that responsibility. I mean, I think it's gotten eroded over the last few decades as far as dads staying connected with the family. Number one for me is, as a husband, my connection with my wife is so very important to keep that strong. If there's something going on that's not working, making sure that his communication levels are open, making sure there's always respect. So for me, that's number one, is making sure that our unit is tight. And then again, as a dad, well, maybe you don't have that going on. Maybe something happened and, you're either separated, divorced, or whatever that may be, being a single dad possibly. But that connection with your children is so important. Yes, you might be the person that's the main breadwinner and you need to be out of the house a lot. But still, we know that the number one thing that our kids want is our love and our time. Well, love and time, really, they're interactive, interconnected.
We've heard people say, how do kids spell love? And it's T-I-M-E.
Yeah, it's time.
It is.
Yeah,
time.
and
watch me, look at me, watch this. Hey.
Yes.
Remember?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, why do you always hear kids say, "Watch me, Dad, watch me here, watch me there"? We're like, okay, yeah, watch it again.
No, don't do that. You didn't do that. You were like,
No.
okay, I'm watching.
Well, I won't say I didn't, because sometimes, when you got multiple kids, or even if you got one, you just kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm watching again. Yeah, but that's just the way it is, because children desire that time, that attention, that knowing that there's love there, you're caring about them. So dads, that number one thing with your children is time. And when I say time, I don't mean just kind of, you're both sitting there on your phones.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, we're together. We're sitting next to you. We went out to a meal together, and yeah, we had a meal together, but you look over and they're both sitting there on their phones during the whole meal and nobody's exchanging a word. That's time, but it's not quality time. That's not proper time. When I'm talking about time, I'm talking about time with connection. Because one of the things that can happen is you might not have much time. You might be the kind of dad that's really on the go in that and say, I'm just so limited on the time I can have on my kids. But you know what? Even if it's just 15 minutes, I just did it myself. Even if it's just 15 minutes or a half hour, or whatever it may be, children learn by watching, good and bad. Yes, Rubio, you're right on. Even if it's just 15 minutes or a half hour, or just a small amount of time, they're going to love it. They're going to appreciate it. And you being in there and connecting and just focusing on them and looking at them like, you are the most important thing to me right now.
And not multitasking.
Yeah, being
that's key. Like,
oh yeah, I
washing
hear ya.
the dishes or making a meal.
Oh yeah, okay, yep, yeah. No, I'm talking about that time where you're just
pay attention to them.
They are the most important thing in your life right now, and you're in there with them and giving them that attention. So dads, that's the best thing you can do. Yep, I know you're out there doing whatever else you do in life and making things happen for your family, but even if you're this ultra busy dad guy, right, when you get that time that you can be with your children, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, even if it's at a bare minimum, they're your number one thing. There's nothing else in the world, and I'm listening to, and your mouth and your ears are open. So tell me about, what's going on, darling?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Yeah. You are listening. You're empathetic. No judgment. And you're there. Because that's all they need. That's what they need. That's what they want. That's what they desire.
And also, you're really good at doing that because the girls are out of country now. So, Mike, they'll call and you'll be really good to not be on the computer while you're talking to them.
Oh, never. No.
Because they can pick up on if you're doing
Yeah.
other stuff.
And if I'm really in the middle of something, I'll ask permission. Can I call you back in just 5 minutes? And if I get that permission, yes. And they'll say, well, no, actually I can't. I just need now. And then I'll say, okay, cool. No, that's not a, can't.
That's paying
It's
attention.
no way that's more important than
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You know,
very
and
good.
you can just ask permission if you need to, talk 5 minutes later.
Very good.
So yeah, I just want to talk about dads and their family there, and just understanding the fact that how important that time, quality time is. And if you are with your kids and your wife and you're out to dinner at events or whatever, get off your phones. Pay attention. Put them down. Turn them on airplane mode. Put them in your pocket. Put them away. And have connection, because it is so and so important for the longevity of your life. And that's been proven over and over again. Connection for us human beings is so important for the quality of our life.
A case in point, the other day, Michael and I were having our business breakfast and we were sitting down over at Mina, and over to my left was a mother, and she had her, like, I'd say 7-month-old in the chair, and mom was on her phone. Mom was on her phone, and the kid started looking around like, okay,
Yeah.
Mom's not paying attention to me. Who's going to pay attention to me? Well, I will, because I'm looking at you and I'm understanding the
Yeah.
dynamics of what's going on. So then the child turned all the way around, looked at me, and of course
You smiled.
I smiled and go, oh, you're so cute and all that. I wasn't even that close, but they can pick up on the fact that somebody's paying attention to me. And I really, really, really wanted to go to mom, and in a kind of a way I did, by playing with her child, with my face and stuff. Just tell mom, stop that. Put your phone away and pay attention to your kids. So it doesn't matter what age they are. Pay attention to your kids and put your phone away. Those phones are dangerous for relationships.
Yes. And the Rubio method says time is often worth more than money, especially with friends and family. Absolutely.
Yes,
I'm
true.
sure I haven't heard anybody, and I could be wrong, but I haven't heard anybody on their deathbed saying, oh, I wish I would have made more money and spent less time with my friends and family. It's just not.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
No, I haven't heard that one usually. Yeah, we all know we got to make money, but that time aspect is so important.
Yeah, and you don't need that many friends, but
Yeah.
that's another topic.
And
yeah.
again, as I said, the health part of that for
So
longevity
good,
is so
yeah.
important. If we become disconnected to people, that doesn't bode well for our longevity.
No,
It's
and it
not
also
good.
brings on depression, and
Yeah, we are.
loneliness is one of the biggest causes of depression in the elderly
Yeah. So stay connected.
and in anybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
My dear, do you have an inspiration chat today that you would like to pass on to everybody?
Yes.
I think you do.
And I have called it, Are You Ready?
Are you ready?
That's the title of my inspiration.
I think I'm ready.
Are you
I
ready?
hope I'm ready. Are you ready? Go.
Let's go. Well, I was thinking, what do I get to talk about today? So I was reading through A Leadership Goal by John Maxwell, who's one of our mentors. And he writes, make your choices, decide what your choice is going to be before the crisis or the event happens. And you know how that winds into your amygdala and your frontal lobe? Because if you've got something that you haven't thought about, your amygdala will take over and you'll be reacting like a teenager. But when you've made the choices of, okay, if this happens, this is how I'm going to deal with it, then you've already been prepared. You don't have to get ready. You're already ready because you've thought of this in advance. So are you ready is the topic. And that way you can have your decisions for the critical moments in life already ready. Okay? Again, it's working upstream instead of waiting for being downstream and needing the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff to help you get back on board. So some of the ideas is, of course, I'm going to talk about health. So your health. Decide, I will know and follow healthy guidelines daily. It's your choice. I mean, Michael and I can guide you and encourage you, but at the end of the day, you've got to make the decision. It's your choice. It's your life. We want you to make the right choice because we know if you don't make the right choice, where you're going or where you could end up. And it's not pretty. The next is finances. Make the choice before the critical event happens or the crisis is, I will earn and manage finances daily. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but we've had problems with our finances.
Yeah.
And finally, we have figured out, okay, we got to get prepared for this stuff. So you all know that a bill is going to happen and you've got to be prepared for it. So be prepared. Have that money set aside for when the dishwasher breaks down or the washing machine or the dryer or your kid needs an extra $1,000. You've got it. Okay? You don't have to go into crisis mode because you already know, all right, I've already made the decision and I've planned for that. I've allowed my frontal lobe to be in control. And then the last is family. I will communicate and care for my family daily. We have on Messenger and Facebook a group called the Hunsinger Tribe, and that's for us, our tightly knitted group, and we connect in that pretty much every day.
Definitely every day.
Yeah.
And some days pretty often.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's in different parts of the world, so they come on at different times of the chat. But the key is it can be as simple as an emoji, like sending one of your kids who's been knocked off her horse, or his horse, you send them an emoji and it's two horses riding, two people riding their horses along the beach because that person loves horses and they've gotten the strength to get back on the horse. It's just little inspiration moments or little emojis or good morning when they're still sleeping, but they're going to look at their messenger first thing in the morning. Because you're the first one around the world to be the one to wake up first going, good morning, beautiful, have a wonderful day. And maybe that might be all that we connect with during the day, but at least they know I've reached out, or Michael, I call him Daddy, but at least Daddy has reached out and touched them. Right, Daddy?
I'm leaving that one.
So when the crisis...
Yeah, that drives our daughters crazy. You call him Daddy. Yeah, anyway, that's funny.
Yeah, he is Daddy.
That's funny.
Yeah. You're my daddy.
Okay.
But but good. You're not my money daddy.
I know.
You take care of, you're my king, my daddy.
Yes.
Yeah, my husband. Okay. You want me to shut up, right?
No, I don't care. I mean, I know it's all good,
Yeah.
but
So are you ready? So when the crisis occurs, you don't have to get ready because you're already ready. And when you are ready, your frontal lobe, the adult in the room, right here, will say, okay, we got this. We know what to do. And that's your inspirational chat for the day.
Well said. It's so good. Yeah, being ready for so many different situations in life. Otherwise, we get behind. You and I did that for many decades, just what's called chasing our tail. Things would happen and we'd be like, and we'd be reacting because we weren't ready for things in so many different areas of life. And yeah, I mean, hopefully you don't wait as long as us to learn to be ready for life because, it took us a while.
Happens.
Took us a while to figure that out. Well, it's time for us to leave you today. We'll be back here on your favorite social media channels in 2 weeks. with the MD and Chef Team show. But in the meantime, if you want to connect with us on social media, because we're on there daily with insights, inspiration, it could be just about life, it could be about health and wellness, many different things. Check us out at Doctor on a Mission. And also our website is dronamission.com. Pop on over there if you want to learn more about us there. All our services are available. We got multiple freebies over there. Just before we go, Rubio had a quick comment. Playing catch up is very tough to do for a long time. Yeah, totally agree. Because we've done it. And hey, and if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, if you happen to see this on YouTube or wherever you might see this, please subscribe. We'd love to have you along for the ride. That way you find out what's going on. And otherwise, we're here to help you navigate your physical, emotional, and spiritual needs, and know that it's coming from people who have had their own ups and downs of life and challenges and tribulations, work through it, still hanging out, still having great fun, still
and
in love.
living to be 100 years strong, toned, healthy, and sexy for each other. Right?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Right, buddy?
Yeah, right. So check us out at Doctor on a Mission, social media-wise, and also dronamission.com for our website. Been a pleasure being with you today, saying hello. And as we wrap up, like, subscribe, comment. We're here for you.
Mwah.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye. If you're part of that 70% who haven't subscribed yet, well, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can come along with us. Give us a like. Thanks.